In this episode,
you do select guns based on the mission. Even for our gunfighting in Afghanistan, there are some staples you're going to make sure you take with you, like Carl Gustav's and things like that, because you're never going to fight fair. So if you get shot at from the corner of a building, some dude with an AK, I'm not going to stack up and take the corner of the building. You can fire a Carl Gustav round at the corner of the building. Just take the whole corner.
Going to delete the corner of the building.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I'm a huge proponent of not stacking up. I got to stack up and take it. Okay, how about we just hammer it with bigger guns?
in an obtuse world, Mark and Jefe will combine military, law enforcement, and general FUD knowledge to keep you vertical. Welcome to the Live, Laugh, Larp podcast.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Thanks for swinging by. I sure do appreciate it. Welcome to another edition of the Live, Laugh, Larp podcast, and we have Jefe back with us. What's going on, man?
The last month has been an absolute blur with the family getting some sort of flu A, flu B through flu A through Z at any point in time. So
yeah,
everyone's alive, everyone's okay. But man, February was non-existent. February 2026 did not exist.
I feel you. Same with, I've got my own thing that I've been dealing with all month too. So it was like you blink.
Is the prostate doing okay?
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. It's not that.
So he hasn't denied it yet. So
it's not that. But needless to say, we're glad to have you back. Matt misses you.
I don't know. I felt so bad. I felt absolutely terrible.
We had a great talk. So, but needless to say, it seems as if the world may be burning down.
Oh, yeah.
Soon. We'll talk about that today. Maybe. I don't know. But before we get into all of that, you guys know what's going to happen. We need to say a huge thank you to XS Sites. They are our title sponsor for every podcast that we have put out for over a year now, and we could not be any more grateful to them for sponsoring this podcast. It's absolutely ridiculous that they've taken a chance with us, and we greatly appreciate it. So if you guys are interested in a sighting solution for your Glocks, for your echelons, for your revolvers, for AR-15s, AK-47s, MP5s, man, I tell you, if you need an iron sight, they may have an option for you. Definitely swing by, check them out. You can capitalize on a 20% discount off of anything you order from them using the code LARP. That's LARP. Swing by, check them out. The discount code is their way to say thank you for listening to the podcast. We get no kickbacks from it. It's just for you guys to use. So swing by and check them out. With that being said, let's dive into this because we have a guest that, I've watched his stuff for I would say about a year now. And I'm grateful to Clayco47 for turning me on to his YouTube channel. And we are joined by Modern Tactical Shooting. Jeff, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
So who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I am a retired SF guy is my claim to fame. 26 years in the Army. I did 19 years in SF with 5th and 3rd Special Forces Group. And what I'm probably best known for still is my Competition to Combat series of articles I wrote for Defense Review while I was active duty. And I just wanted to document all the rifle setups and things like that we're running overseas during GWAT. And it actually wasn't hard to do. I got, permission from the Army and all that. Everything's above board. And I'm probably best known for that. And now being fully retired, just wanted to, I call it staying in the game, but that's why I started a YouTube channel, was really just to stay kind of current with the gun and firearms community.
Absolutely. And you've had some really awesome videos. I think one of the biggest videos, correct me if I'm wrong, but your rifle tier list is your biggest one. Is that right?
Biggest and most controversial, apparently. Yeah.
I mean, obviously Noveski's number one, right?
Where did I put them? I don't even remember. It's been over a
Actually,
year.
I know, right? I think they are B. I think they're a B tier.
Yeah, because they're just, I mean, I hate to say it, they're just not where they were, 10, 15 years ago now. So,
Yeah, 100%. And then, I have, in a kind of a little way, I have tried to start doing that in my own channel by looking at different types of rifles, and I'm slowly building all of this content, video after video, of looking at different ARs from a high point HP 15 all the way up to a Geisley Super Duty, which was the video not this past Sunday, but a couple videos ago anyway. And so kind to do a little bit of the same thing that you've done, just in a different format. And it's actually been very educational. I've started to learn more things about the AR platform that I wouldn't say I didn't know, but it was just kind of, it's more evident now, So has that been your experience as well with your YouTube channel?
well, specifically with that tier list I made, I modeled that off of watch videos because I'm a huge watch fan now. And in watch videos, they rate off specs and the quality and the consumer, I guess, criticism around the watches. They don't all own or wear all those watches. So I approached that video the same way, looking at specs, looking at customer feedback, and really a balance of price versus, components. And everybody's like, oh, you can't do a tier list because you didn't shoot them all. Well, in my mind, that would be a review on each gun. Whereas a tier list, again, it was based on offerings and price, and really, I guess, the best balance for money, and with some personal experience on some of those guns. So I approached it. If you watch any watch videos, I'll have their own tier lists. That's how I approached that video.
I know Jefe is a huge watch guy.
I'm not huge. We're getting there. Unfortunately, it's another expensive hobby.
Yeah, there it is. Yep. Cameras, watches, and guns. All the money's gone.
But I think it would be fun since you're big into watches, and I don't. It's not that I dislike watches. It's just like I wouldn't even know where to begin. I mean, I know Rolex is like the king of watches, I guess, and then there's so many others that are out there that are even better than Rolex, I guess. I don't know, but it would be interesting if you could pair watches to rifles.
Ooh, that'd be super niche and super interesting.
Yeah.
The video would probably get about 5,000 views. That's it, because only watch nerds would tune in and know what the heck you're talking about if you paired a watch with a rifle. But that's actually a cool idea.
Yeah.
So, I would say like Seiko's like Daniel Defense. I think that's my only contribution would be to
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Daniel Defense, I think, is more higher end than Seiko. So I'd say Seiko's more BCM,
Oh, all right.
So there we go. We're at a start.
We're doing like PSA quality, DPMS, Wyndham.
Yeah, that's some brands probably below Seiko. I'm a Seiko-holic. I'm a huge Seiko fan. So
yeah, well, this is something I started kind of caring about a watch about 2 or 3 years ago. Craig Douglas with Shivworks was on primary and secondary, and they were talking about dressing like a man, and he was just going off about how people with digital watches or the smart watches these days, it's like kid stuff. He's like, be a man, wear a good watch. And since I highly respect what Craig Douglas has to say, I went out and bought. I had a Praetus A11 as a gift, and then after that, it started kind of going downhill. And the weird thing I've noticed about watch guys more than anything is the amount of Rolexes people handed me. Say, hey, look at my Rolex. They take it off their wrist and hand it to you like a complete stranger. That happened to us. I was in Kansas City just 2-3 days ago, and I was having dinner, and this guy saw I have a Seiko 5, and he's like, oh, that's a cool Seiko. We talked about watches for a bit, and he pulls off a Breitling and hands it to me. He's like, here, look at my Breitling. And I was like, this is actually worth like 5 of my trucks right now. So like, I don't want to hold this right now.
Yep. Watch nerds, embrace watch nerds.
Yeah, but it's a very fascinating thing. Like I can't imagine, like, in the gun nerd world, like, hey, you carrying a Glock, and then rips out, like, an Alchemy Arms 1911, hands it to them at a bar.
Yep.
Like how, like, you just don't get, like, I guess you just don't get that kind of that sort of camaraderie, that trust automatically. That's like, hey, you wear a nice watch, therefore I'm going to hand you my $15,000 watch to look at.
Yeah, it happened to me at an airport. Some guy was wearing a Tudor, and I'm into Tudors now, and he just handed it to me. He goes, "Yeah, you want to check it out?" I'm like, "Okay, thanks."
Yeah, but it's weird because then you're like, I don't want to drop this. I don't even want to look at it. If I smudge it, like, I now owe this guy, about a third of my yearly paycheck, and so
I have a phone that has a watch on it, so I stick with that. Yes.
Yeah, you're out.
Yeah. I wouldn't begin to know where to go with any of that.
He's the airsoft tier.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm going to take a quick step back. We already got into the watches. So let's hear the villain story of how you got into guns and firearms. Like, what's the story behind that?
Well, I was a career soldier, 26 years in the Army, but I didn't get into firearms probably till actually 7 or 8 years into the Army. To me, it was just your issued gun, you trained with. Mm-hmm. And then it was because I spent most of my early career stationed in Europe. And it wasn't until I was probably in the Q course that I got into firearms. Started shooting some pistol matches, and then from there, got into hey, I might as well own my own AR and all that, and that started down the road. But before that, I was just your average soldier that didn't have much interest outside the Army. But coming back to the States and getting into competitive shooting, that's what really spurred it on.
So one of the typical soldiers that says, well, I was in the Army, therefore I'm a master of firearms, even though you shoot only once a year, maybe.
Yeah.
No, we run into that a bunch. So
yeah, being co-located at a near a military installation, and then going to pistol competitions and seeing the soldiers show up, and then you're like, oh, it's either they can shoot really good or not so good. There's really no in between. It's from what we've seen so far, which is funny.
Yeah, and the latter half of my career, I pushed competitive shooting hard in the military, and it's been embraced pretty well within special operations. When I first got to SF, most people were against it. They viewed it as something that was going to ruin your tactical performance. But really, now in the last 10 years, it's pretty well embraced. It's seen as a valid method to make yourself better, improve your marksmanship, and then, crosses over into tactical shooting.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the things that I picked up on in your video on the Bren 2 is you were talking about the Scar Light, the 5.56 Scar, and one of the comments that you made was that you guys would actually run drills and compare it to the M4, and was seeing that the Scar was just not keeping up with the M4. What were some of those drills, and was that pulled from the competition world?
No, actually, Kyle Lamb was really kicking off his Viking tactics, and he, early YouTube, and his videos are still out there. We were running a lot of his drills, and he's really, I call him the father of modern rifle training. Everybody's putting pro-timers to pistols, but he was really setting rifle drills to par times to measure yourself against. And we were shooting a ton of his drills. So, and he had the VTAC. This is when the VTAC barrier was just created with his 9-hole drill, all these different drills. And, we'd run these drills with our M4s, and no matter how hard we tried, we could not match the times with the Scar. And it mainly came down to, because of that big bolt carrier and op rod, the way the gun kind of recoils and it oscillates back and forth in the gun, it just doesn't settle as smooth as the M4. The M4 has snappier recoil, but it's fast, so the sights drop, and it just took a little extra time with the Scar and semi-auto. And we're like, wow, we can't shoot these as good. Now, in full auto, the Scar Light was better. I get that heavy bolt carrier actually worked in its favor. So in full auto, and the rate was, I think, a little bit slower, it settled great. But 95% of your shooting in combat is on semi. So, you think you'd want a rifle that can outperform an M4 in semi, and it just couldn't.
What's interesting. And I would have never considered the differences between full auto and those two rifles.
Yeah, because we don't get them.
Well, that's
we
true.
Yet we don't get them yet. No, yeah. You mentioned that like especially like in the SF community that you were in, that they were putting drills to pistols but not to rifles. Did you guys see like a direct translation when you started? Like if you, I'm going to take a quick step back. So a lot of what we train at, that if you could shoot handgun good, rifle translates into that good. Do you guys see a lot of that in like the SF community? If you put like a lot of time and effort in handgun shooting and put it to timers, that directly translates if you do like similar drills with rifles? Or
yeah, it does carry over because shooting a pistol is harder.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where people fall into a trap. To get really good with a rifle, you really got to press shooting a rifle in drills. And I haven't shot 3-gun in forever, but my strongest event in competitive shooting is rifle. So I was pretty weak with a shotgun. I can hold my own with a pistol, but where I excelled was a rifle. So if it was a rifle heavy match, odds were always in my favor. I'd do well. Because people kind of assume, hey, I can rock it with a pistol. Yeah, I can run and gun with a rifle. But now how do you take it to the next level? You dedicate yourself to running drills that push your rifle performance.
And then obviously you have to figure out a way to balance all of that as well between your rifle and your pistol, because it's almost like, especially with the 3-gun world, it's, a 3-legged stool. You spend so much time on pistol, your rifle and your shotgun, suffers a little bit, or could anyway. And then obviously you got the game aspect of it. You start buying, this widget for, shaving that 1/10 of a second off, or, you go out and spend $3,000 on a staccato to make you shoot better, but then you realize it's your fundamentals, and a Glock will do just fine. So those are the interesting aspects that I've seen with my limited exposure to competition. And I say limited because I shoot competitions at least once a month. I travel to competitions, but it's, in comparison to some of my friends that are like jersey shooters, I'm nowhere near to them. So it's interesting to see how that plays out. But your YouTube channel, as we've mentioned, if you guys haven't checked it out, naturally, we will have all of Jeff's information in the description of the podcast, not only where you can find him on Instagram, but YouTube as well. Definitely swing by, check his stuff out, give him a subscribe or a follow if you are so inclined to do so. But YouTube has been kind of your way to keep up, as you said, with the gun industry. But I know that YouTube can be a bit of a challenge from time to time. Myself and Clayco 47, we've talked about that on the podcast and on his live shows and stuff like that. What have been some of the issues that you've run into with your YouTube channel?
Well, it's actually thanks to Clayco. I was probably only getting, I would say, 2/3 of my video monetized. And then he offered some tips. So there are nuances to being a firearms channel, because, YouTube hates us.
Yes.
And they make it as painful as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I've noticed is there's been a huge shift in the algorithm. I don't know if you guys have noticed it.
A little bit.
But when I started my channel, and, this is when I had, 20,000 views. If I made a video, you would see the numbers go up over like a 2-week period before it like fell out of the algorithm and was never seen again.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say in the last year, you got about 4 days once you make a video, And after those 4 days, that's when it falls off.
Yes.
So the algorithm is ruthless now. I mean, for every subject on YouTube, there must be 1,000 different channels. So there's major competitions, especially for smaller channels. And the algorithm is just it's pretty ruthless, and you've got to play the algorithm game, which I really don't. I don't go for like top 10s. YouTube loves top 10s or pairings, this versus this. I do more of what I call passion projects, stuff that just interests me, whether it might pop on YouTube or not. Hey, I want to talk about it, so I make a video.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how I've formulated my YouTube channel as well. Most of everything, I would say probably 90% of everything that I've done as far as videos goes are things that I actually care about or things that I'm interested in, trying to expand my knowledge when it comes to firearms as well, because I'm not so dissimilar to you when it comes to my history with firearms. I did grow up around firearms. My dad at one point was an FFL. He was a collector, and he would take my brother and I, usually for our birthdays, out to the indoor range. We'd shoot a little bit, but it was mostly pistols. And it wasn't until I got into the Army that I shot my first rifle, which was M16A2. And that kind of enlightened me how much I absolutely enjoyed it. But it wasn't until, I would say, probably almost 8 years into my military service before I was like, you know what, just like you, I probably should get my own rifle and maybe a pistol too. And then that's when I started going to the range on a little bit more of a regular basis. But so my knowledge has been fairly limited. So my YouTube channel has always tried to push the boundaries or that envelope as to what's next. What can I do to improve an AK or an AR or something to that effect? And I was maybe curious to see if that's kind of your approach to it as well.
Well, actually, I started my YouTube channel to push when I was doing training. So my channel, my vision was, hey, I'll just show drills and people are going to want to check out these drills and how to shoot better. Well, people actually don't really care about that. They don't. They don't. How to shoot better videos and competitive shooting videos, nobody really cares about. They're looking for entertainment, and your best firearms channels are really entertainment channels. And I view myself as an information channel, not an entertainment.
Yeah.
And I never had the intent to push the special forces thing. I was actually talking to a buddy who's super smart. And he's like, Jeff, you got to kind of talk about special forces. It's the only way you're going to validate yourself. And I'm kind of known as the GWAT guy now, or the Special Forces History channel. That's just kind of what I morphed into, which I don't mind because I do want to capture the stuff that went on during GWAT, like the gear, the loadouts, things like that, tactics that we used because they're fading fast from everybody's memory.
Yes.
So I'm more than happy to dive into that because I don't want to see all that just fade away into nothing.
And we're going to need it here for Coin 2.0 here in a little bit. So
yeah,
we're just talking about that. I had to go to a CTC rotation here in a little bit, and they're all talking about LISCO. I'm like, why are we talking about LISCO, guys? Coin's back on the menu. Like, we're not good. We're not doing that anymore. But,
yeah.
So when it comes to your YouTube channel, you're generating a pretty decent following. I'm sure that those YouTube checks are rolling in, and you've got industry folks beating down your door to,
I still have a full-time job, so
they're not handing you a bag of cash to review their stuff.
No, YouTube is still just a hobby for me. I average 2 videos a month, and in the last 6 months, I've been averaging like 3. So I do it. It's a hobby because I come from the writing world, the written word. Started out actually, writing for Defense Review, and then I built up enough of a portfolio. I ended up writing for SWAT magazine for 10 years, but the printed medium is dead. So I just transitioned, into video to keep telling these stories. So yeah, I don't have manufacturers banging down my door. I have one official sponsor. That's if I want rifles anytime I want. That's Fur Friends, and they don't even sell rifles in the States. They only make rifles for the Pacific Asian region, military sales. So I don't even have to push their rifles because you can't buy them. So I'd really that and ATS Tactical Gear, and that's because the guy who runs that, I went through the Q course with him, so we're buddies, and I've known him forever.
Oh, that's good to know. That's good to know. Well, I know that from a sponsorship aspect of it, like we've had excess sites for the podcast, but for my YouTube channel, sponsorship's really not something that comes and goes. And it's interesting because from the comment section of a lot of not only my videos, but a whole bunch of other people's, it's like we're just rolling in cash because of these videos and the products. And, obviously if someone sends us a product to review, there's been a suitcase full of cash that's followed with it, So,
yeah.
And that's a point that I've always tried to make as clear as possible in my videos, that, I'm not getting paid to say anything good, bad, or indifferent about this.
Aren't you legally obligated to do that though? Isn't that a thing?
You're supposed to. Yeah.
Yes. No. You're supposed to, you are supposed to announce that that this was given to you. But I mean, there's some people that just let that roll, so I don't know.
I apologize. I don't do YouTube. I'm not in that space. This is about as far as I go is the podcast. So I didn't I remember it was a big point of contention several years back when I think it was I can't remember who was getting paid but wasn't saying it, and then gotten in some sort of minor legal trouble because of it. But I can't remember who. Don't remember.
Iraq veteran?
Maybe. I don't.
Yeah, I think it's probably him.
Don't
know. But Jeff, I mean, from your perspective, how do you handle that aspect of it? I know that you've probably had people in your comments that have beat you up about, getting paid for reviews or something to that effect.
So it's not too bad because I'm not known for being a firearm review channel. I mean, there's other channels who do a great job for that. I mean, like Grand Thumb is king of the reviews. So again, I don't have manufacturers beating down my door to test their guns. I can count on one hand where I've reviewed guns for companies that said, hey, you want to check out one of our firearms? And literally maybe 6 at most. And of all those guns, I've sent them all back, because if somebody says, hey, you want to try a gun, I don't assume, hey, I'm getting a free gun. I treat it as, okay, I'm getting this loaner to try, and I would never take money. This is a hobby. I don't need it. And hey, I'll send the gun back. And I've only done, I think, like 5 different rifle reviews. And out of those, like the Bren, I'm sending back this week. I've Desert Tech. I got to keep the quad stack magazine rifle they sent me, which I gave to my son. And Black Rain Ordnance, they sent me the rifle. And that's a kinetics review I did like 5 months ago. They sent it on a 90-day review. A buddy of mine works there, and he's like, hey, Jeff, if you want to hold on to it longer, you can. So I've still got that. So I'm going to run it for the next year or so. But yeah, I don't. I come from the written world. So I wrote for Defense Review for like 10 years. So I never take stuff for money anyways. Defense Review wouldn't do it. And that was one of our agreements. Hey, I'm going to give it an honest evaluation, or don't send it to me. So I have a pretty strict what I will not cover and cover, because bottom line is I was a soldier for 26 years of my life, and I'm not going to review a product that could potentially be a piece of crap that some soldier's going to buy off my advice. So that's always in the back of my mind. So if I am going to review something and give it a positive review, 1, I don't expect favors for it. And 2, I'm going to give my honest opinion about it.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what we should expect from, gun tubers or reviewers. I know that there's some channels out there that's just, like you said, pure entertainment. and there's really not a review attached to it.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, a matter of fact, one of the funniest channels out there is I think it's Print Shoot Repeat.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
That guy is hilarious, and I get it. I get the humor, even though I'm a 50-year-old dude. I totally get the humor, and if that gets more people into shooting, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, and he's a good guy. On top of all of that too. I mean,
but he did that one video a year ago where he had a flashlight strapped to the front of the gun. I thought it was hilarious.
I think it rubbed Botkin a little sideways.
It did. I saw that video and I was like, come on, not everything has to be super serious. You got to have fun with it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let me take a step back here and dive back into the SF world a little bit and your experience there.
So first of all, how'd you get there? Like,
exactly.
What's the story about that?
Actually, I haven't told this story a lot. I was serving in Italy. It's the 173rd now. Back then, it was the first of the 508 that was in the airborne. Having the time of my life. I tried to extend, and they wouldn't let me. And I was in scout platoon, and almost every NCO, we all got orders for the 82nd Airborne at the same time.
Sorry to hear that.
And I was like, no, this is a true story. And I was like, you know what? If I'm going to go to Fort Bragg, I might as well try it for SF. So I put in a selection packet, got orders for selection, and I had orders for the 82nd. So I came back to the States with 2 sets of orders. I signed into selection, and I made it. And I was in between going from selection, I believe it was SUT, prior to the MOS phase. So I was about at Bragg for 4 or 5 months when I got called to the SWIC Sergeant Major, and he said, you're AWOL from the 82nd. And I was like, yeah. And he said, well, you're ours now. I'm going to let them know they can't have you. And if you try to do that nowadays, you'd probably, get put up for AWOL and have horrible things done for you. But back then it worked. So I just didn't go to the 82nd. No. Literally, that's how I ended up in Special Forces. Had I been allowed to extend and stay in Italy for even 1 year, 2 years more, I probably never would have won SF.
And what was your MOS when you started the military?
I started, I joined as 11 Bravo.
Okay.
Yep. And I had a great time. As an infantryman. I caught Desert Storm. I went to Africa twice for the Rwanda crisis to protect the embassy in Liberia in 95. The Marines did it in 94.
Wow.
Went to Bosnia. Anywhere 10th Group was sending guys for an emergency, we were following them in first of the 508. So I had the time of my life while I was stationed in Europe. Yeah.
And then you got to go to be the tip of the spear.
Yeah. And then, going SF, and that was a great thing.
So what was your job on the team?
So I started as an 18 Bravo weapons sergeant, and I literally worked my way up. You do that job from a junior to a senior, and then I became an 18 Fox. And then later on down the road, you have to do instructor time. It's mandatory. So I was an instructor. And then, the ultimate goal is to become a team sergeant and 18 Zulu.
Right on. And for those that may not understand, what is 18 Zulu?
So you are the team sergeant. So 12-man team, you have the captain, you have a warrant, which 19 years in Special Forces, I was only on 2 teams that ever had a warrant. They're super scarce.
Really?
And then yeah. And then the team sergeant, and then you're in charge of all the enlisted men.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would expected warrants to be a little bit more prevalent.
No, I don't know where they stand now, but my entire career, I was only on 2 teams that had warrants. Yeah.
That's very interesting to me.
So what was the best job on the teams when you were on? What was your favorite? How about that? Let's go there.
Being a Bravo is kind of cool, but being 18 Fox in early Iraq, when we're doing a lot of the intel gathering, which I haven't really talked about at all, was a super interesting period of time. And I'll probably get into that sometime. But it's a very interesting time doing straight up intel gathering work. It's a different level of danger than being in a gunfight. Stuff we did in early Iraq, SF hasn't done since. And I don't know if they could do it again, but it was a different time.
Yeah, it seems like and it seems like, especially at the onset of GWAT, we were just throwing any sort of like tier 1 or tier 2 units to go do all sorts of crazy things that they either, I don't want to say that that's what they're mainly there for, but at least it was, hey, we don't know what to expect. We don't know how to train you, so just go out there and figure it out. And I know, like, talk. So I'm in the civil affairs world on the reserve side. So talking with a bunch of other people that have been around there for a long time. That's like usually what it felt like with their stories about early GWATs. Like, we didn't know what we were doing. We were just, because we were going to go fight Russians. Now here we are in the desert trying to figure out how to dismantle terrorist networks.
Well, I started out in 5th group,
Mhm.
and 5th group was always focused on that region because
Yep.
of Desert Storm. So we really didn't have that problem. We kind of, prior to 9/11, we 5th group kept a company in Kuwait at all times since Desert Storm. And we would go out and practice our real world mission, which would be to lead coalition forces. So actually in 2003, when we crossed the border into Iraq, it was really, okay, this has been done 1,000 times in training. So 5th group had a good level of training and what to expect.
Okay.
Now, later on, as the insurgency built up, there were times we were kind of winging it, and it was like on the job training, but we were set up pretty well when GWAT first kicked off.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. Again, my the war story is I think the only as 10th group is what I've mainly had a lot of dealings with, and
and those guys did a great job, and we worked hand in hand with them as the years went on to take on the insurgency. And there's stuff that was done in those first, really in Iraq, that was never repeated or even tried in Afghanistan. And it baffles me to this day just how disjointed we were in Afghanistan as opposed to Iraq, and how we did operations.
Yeah.
So I guess the $1 million question then is, with your sage wisdom from being on the teams during the from like Bosnia to the Desert Storm into GWAT, like, what do you think the writing on the wall looks like coming for this new conflict that we're starting up on? If you had to give your professional opinion.
The bread and butter of special forces is to work with foreign forces. So either you're building an insurgency, or you're fighting an insurgency, or you're just you're leading forces to overthrow that government. So I mean, that would be the classic mission. So that's what these guys probably should be preparing for, is okay, hey, whatever battalion of fighters you're going to be linked up with, you're now leading them. So
like
it all goes back to what's that?
Brush up on your Kurdish.
Well, I'll tell you what. I've always said this: if I had 1,000 Kurds, we could have taken over Afghanistan.
Really?
Yeah. One Kurd is worth 10 normal Iraqi soldiers and 50 Afghans.
Yeah,
they are that stout.
Wow.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things about the people that worked with Kurdish forces. It's just kind of sad how we're like 0 for 3 on fucking those guys over, but
yeah. But
maybe today's the day. Maybe today's the day. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
but we could go deep into it. I don't know if you want how deep you want to go into the Kurdish forces and war. Turn this into a war podcast on firearms, but I could go deep.
It's all the same. We've done everything from talking about video games to muscle cars. So like every person I talk to about this podcast, they always say it's really cool because we start with firearms and then we kind of delve into either the kind of the tertiary effects of liking firearms, because I like firearms because of media. Like I played a lot of video games growing up, therefore like I like guns for that reason. I like watching them in movies too. I like guns because they're an American thing, like muscle cars, and they like pairing cars and guns. So it's always cool to start with the firearm stuff and then kind of delve into the the social ramifications of liking firearms or the other ancillary hobbies that come with it. So, if
well,
we want,
you know what, they called the fighting Kurds of the Peshmerga,
Mhm.
which basically means those chosen to die.
Oh, geez,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
And now here's one funny story. So it's
Mhm.
2005 Iraq, and we're training with our Kurds, and we're out on the range, and I still remember it to this day. One of them was shooting really well. I mean, so I walked up. I was like, "Hey, man, great job." He literally looked at me. He looked at me like I was a dumbass. And he's like, "Of course, I'm Peshmerga." Looking at me like, "You silly fool."
Yeah, it's kind of a, I think, what was the whole quote about true believer, like the whole trains with, like, homemade sandals and homemade kit, and that's like their entire livelihood. And then you have guys here US stateside that are on the wrong side of 250 pounds and have HK 416s thinking that they're going to be Delta operators. And you have some guy with like homemade kit with a rusted out AK ready to do some terrible things, some hood rat stuff with his friends. So so you worked a lot with the Kurds. Like, can you tell us a little bit about your time with them?
So we did a lot of clandestine stuff that would fall into the clandestine world with those guys.
Okay.
So we are official entity. I will say this: we up in north where I work out of Kirkuk, we had a thing called the Strike Company, and it was half Iraqi Arab and half Kurd, and they got along great. And they viewed themselves as special forces. They had awesome esprit de corps. We were trying to make them the ICTF of the North, because those guys down in Baghdad were crushing it. And we're like, hey, we're going to get the same thing here. So we were rocking and rolling. And again, the whole idea of being an SF unit is you get a local force, you stand them up from, it could be basic training, train them all the way through. What the end result is eventually, sooner or later, turning them over for them doing independent operations.
Yep.
So we attempted to stand up a unit at the end of 2004, and we failed miserably. We got a bunch of conscript Iraqi army dudes that had zero motivation, and we completely failed. 10th group came in and relieved us, and within 7 months, they stood up the Strike Company, and we're starting to do combat operations. They handed over to us, and at the end of our tour, this is a total of about 14, 15 months later, they were doing their own independent operations. So a little over a year, they went from nothing to going out and doing their own combat operations, which is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, due to media and video games, everyone thinks SF is just a bunch of, brute force door kickers, when in actuality, like, the SF mission is like insanely complex, and it's more of an advisor, I would say advise assister role, rather than just a bunch of...
Afghanistan turned us into door kickers.
Yes.
Afghanistan turned us into nothing but gunfighters, which is fun if you're out there gunfighting, but overall it hurts special forces because all the other skills and tasks have fallen to the wayside, and guys were joining just to go out and get their gunfight on.
Yeah.
So go be a SEAL if you want to do that.
Yeah. It's interesting that you bring that up, because my understanding of the Green Berets are what I saw in media prior to 9/11, with, John Wayne's Green Beret movie and stuff like that. And then the documentaries that I watched about Vietnam, that, as we've mentioned, is, a advise and assist role instead of door kicker. So it's interesting to kind of put that period on that when it comes to the door kicker aspect and what may have hampered our SF groups, I guess, maybe.
Well, the problem was, when Afghanistan became the only show in town, guys want to go get their gunfight on. So you get assigned to the commandos, the mission that's going to put you, in the fight. Guys want to get their gunfight on, so they're going to lead from the front. So where you're supposed to get these Afghan commandos to operate independently, every 7 to 10 months, a new team comes in, and what do they want to do? They want a gunfight. So they're going to lead from the front to make sure they're getting into gunfights. So that handover never happened. And the commandos end up relying on us. They know if the fighting gets too thick, hey, we'll call in aircraft and this and that. When they had their own artillery, it would never force them to use it. There's a whole level of corruption that was in the Afghan army. That's a story for another day.
No.
But part of it is our own fault for never forcing teams to make that handover happen, where they either operate independently or they fail, or we fire them and we start over. Everybody, and I'm guilty of it too. I showed up in 2015 for the commando mission, and of course, what do we want to do? Because we know when things are winding down. Hey, we're going to go out and we're going to get our gunfighting on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So while you were with the fifth group, that's correct, right? Fifth group you were with?
Fifth group for Iraq and third group for Afghanistan.
Okay. Talk about some of the different things that, not necessarily what you did, but from a firearms enthusiast, was it just your M4 that you were carrying, or did you get into different types of firearms that they gave you to test? Was there stuff that you carried in Iraq or Afghanistan that nobody really saw? Or
he just wants to hear about the MP5. That's all he wants to hear about.
Is that where we're going?
MP5.
I carried an MP5 all of 2004, a lot of 2005, an MP5 and an MP5K, plus we had MP5 SDs. Due to the nature of the mission, which was I'll call low level, which is you can't appear to be as a combatant. And MP5s, they just, that telescoping buttstock, they collapse nice. You tuck them in places. And we weren't looking to get into gunfights. The whole idea was to collect intel and avoid the enemy. So that was my main gun.
Right on. Did you have the shoulder harness, that leather shoulder harness?
No, but actually when I had an MP5K, I made a sling so I could wear it as a shoulder holster. Yes.
That's pretty
cool. Yep. And a little 15 round mag so it wouldn't stick out of my coat. Yeah. And then have some 30s on me.
That's really cool. But outside of that, what was some of the other cool firearms that you were exposed to while you were with the groups?
Well, I was there. I came into SF at a great time. I came at the beginning of soft mod block 1. And then of course, when GWOT kicks off, we get the MP5s, fifth group gets UMP 45s. We get the introduction of the miniguns to the teams halfway through Iraq, things like that. So, and of course, seeing the evolution of soft mod all the way to, I got out just for the URGI. But we, depending on the mission, at least for Iraq, you did have access to a lot of stuff that you could tailor to the mission, like those MP5s or, Benelli shotguns, breaching shotguns, things like that. So I wouldn't say it was a never-ending array, but you do select guns based on the mission. Even for our gunfighting in Afghanistan, there are some staples you're going to make sure you take with you. Like Carl Gustavs and things like that, because you're never going to fight fair. So if you get shot at from the corner of a building, some dude with an AK, I'm not going to stack up and take the corner of the building. We can fire a Carl Gustav round at the corner of the building. Just take the whole corner.
The corner of the building.
Yeah. That's why I'm a huge proponent of not stacking up. Like, stack up and take it. Okay, how about we just hammer it with bigger guns?
Yeah, it's like number one rule of clearing a room is toss in a frag. That type of situation.
If we take fire from a building, send a Carl Gustav round into it. I've only been involved in true CQB twice in my life, and both times involved hand grenades. Again, why stack up and try and rely on your 8x10 plate to protect you when there's better ways to handle that problem.
What was some of the kit as far as you just brought up plates, and that's something that I've really never truly dived into. Obviously, I deployed to Iraq in 2003, and I left Fort Riley with a 80s era flak vest. And then about 3 months into it, I finally got an IBA, and then Afghanistan was the IOTV. Was were you guys able to kind of hodgepodge your own kits, or how did that work out?
Well, right before 9/11 and GWAT and all that happened, that's when SOCOM decided they're going to go their own route with the gear. So we had the Spear Bulk system, which built for special operations. I was actually on the user test committee for that. I rejected it, but Special Forces bought it anyways. So SF and Rangers and SEALs, we all went down our own separate route away from the regular Army, just in time for GWAT.
Okay.
Mhm.
So that led to the Spear Bulks, and then we had what the Eagle Industries Seartime Maris, and then eventually we went on to the Eagle, a style plate carrier, I forget the model of it, and where they are now with the Cry Precision, I forget which model it is, but plate carriers are rocking now.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure where they're at, but I know that the JPC was big, probably 5-6 years ago. Now it's
So
JPT
we still get issued IOTVs too. So
yeah, SF never got the JPC. They got the AVS, and that's still standard issue. But talking to SF guys now, a lot of them are starting to get issued the Spiritist plate carrier. I forget what model.
the LV115, I think.
Yes, they're going to like CRIF teams and stuff. I don't know if they're going to regular SF teams. So they are progressing on with other gear, because the Cry AVS, I came out when I was in SF still, and that was like 2013. So that's due for an upgrade.
Yeah, it's I know a lot of the guys, like if you still wear like a JPC or an AVS, like I didn't say it's dated, but there's definitely better stuff on the market. I know Spiritus, Adam's been doing a fantastic job of making his equipment available for warfighters. I think he has all the stuff that has an NSN on it. So if you have unit funds, you can buy them now. And I know a lot of companies are trying to go that route, but also there's not a whole lot of nylon companies in the U.S. that are very compliant. So it's going to be like a corner market for him for a little bit, but outside like the micro niche companies that are doing like making their own nylon kit. So
yeah, I wore all my own kit in Afghanistan: helmet, body armor, belts, everything. Everything was my own. The only thing that was not my own were the actual ballistic plates.
Yeah. And were you, when you're in the teams, was it still the I guess method of hanging everything off of your plate carrier, or were you guys using like taps or A-taps or anything like that to go over your plate carrier?
Oh, everything was plate carrier rigged up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's how everybody rolled.
So, and that's how we did everything for Iraq, and then once we got into Afghanistan, we started that. But by the end of Afghanistan, they're like, take everything off, put it on your taps, and throw taps on over your IOTB.
Yeah, the taps, the worst piece of kit ever designed and saddled on the American soldier.
Really?
What a piece of junk.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Actually, I thoroughly enjoy my taps, but it's definitely one of those things that it's like, I think any other like a majority piece of Army equipment, it's almost there. And if you do like one or two small things, it's serviceable. Like on my taps, I put a Spiritus System H harness on it. Now it's actually not.
Well, that improves it.
Yes.
But
the Y harness.
Watching soldiers walk around with all that stuff only on the front of their body. So all the strains on your neck and lower back, and you're thick as heck on the front, to me was just buffoonery.
Well, the sad truth that like no one wants to admit is majority of people like outside of the like SF community, some like the tier 2 and tier 3 units, like the majority of normal Army don't know how to set their shit up to begin with. So you have like people as like the amount of people I see like will web the molly through the entire.
They're supposed to route it.
Route it. They just loop it on there, and then when they put like magazines, it's flopping forward and like, oh, this thing sucks. I'm like, well, if you do it correctly, maybe it won't suck that much.
Here's an idea. Why don't you read the tax op? It probably explains it.
No one does tax ops anymore, man.
Really?
Yeah, tax ops are dead.
Jeez.
the most valuable piece of literature that I ever had in any unit that I went to.
Tax ops are dead, man.
Jeff, did you guys run tax ops or anything like that, or is it just like, hey, you guys are smart enough, figure it out for yourself?
Yep, that's how we do it. or you, when you're on a team, if you get a new piece of gear, you tell the 18 Bravo or Charlie, whatever realm it falls into, or Delta, hey, figure out that stuff and give us a class on it. That's it. Yep.
So you talked about previously, you started your YouTube channel to kind of highlight your the training courses that you had been doing. If I remember correctly, it's not something that you've been still doing, or just on hold.
I'm too busy. I haven't taught a class in like 2 years, and I get a lot of demand for it. But YouTube is a part-time thing. I have a full-time job, and I've just been too busy, really to do it. So it just has not been a priority. I will probably do training sometime in the future. I love it. I love being out on the range, but it's just a balance of, work-life balance and things like that. And I'm a grandfather. I have multiple grandkids, so it's just low on my priority list right now.
Yeah, that's understandable. And congratulations on being a grandpa. That's awesome. So when you were doing training, was
grandpa
it
stuff? When you were doing grandpa stuff,
when you were doing training, was it more civilian focused, or were you coordinating with like law enforcement SWAT teams?
No, I was small time, so it was all civilian stuff, and I was getting felt out by some law enforcement and some international work. But I just ended up getting too busy with other stuff. And I was like, do I really want to take it to the next level and start, really traveling and really getting into it? And it's a lot of work to be a one-man show putting on training. And I was traveling out of state. It's a lot of work to put on a 1 or 2 day course. It's a lot. And you got to be on your A game when you're out there demoing and this and that. So it's a lot.
Yeah, I can completely understand that. I've been through a number of courses. Jefe and I actually went through a Chris Costa class that was quite possibly one of the best courses that I've ever been through. It was
the wettest course I've ever been to.
I'm now starting my training back on just to outdo him, and you guys will be the only 2 students.
Okay, perfect.
Well, the reason why I said that his course was so great is only because
it was so wet outside. It was a good chance to test your gear, make sure that it works well. It's soaking wet.
Exactly. It rained for 3 days straight, and it was that type of rain where it would sprinkle a little bit and then just torrential downpour for about 5 minutes, and then nothing, and then like 20 minutes later it'd start to rain again. So definitely taught me a lot about my kit. It taught Jefe a lot about LPVOs.
Have to get wet and
not
foggy.
To get wet.
So she primary arms, like a $80 scope or LPV on a rifle.
Unfortunately, that was not a very good LPVO to put through that course. But
no, I mean, it was, because then I learned a lot about it.
Well, yeah, that's
and true. On a nice hot summer day, it still fogs up like 10 years from now, like ago later.
I will tell you the best piece of kit was the Gore-Tex jacket that Jefe let me borrow. Yeah. I would have been so miserable if I didn't get an opportunity to borrow that from you.
Yeah, was that a BDU like M65 Gore-Tex jacket?
Yep, or M85.
No, it was M65. It was the pattern's M81.
That's what. Yeah.
But the jacket's an M65.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, there you go.
It got stolen when my truck got stolen. So rest in peace, truck or jacket.
Anyway, all right.
Sorry about that on our tirades.
We got to go on our little.
My truck got stolen too, so like I lost my. It was one of those like jackets I got when I first started 19 years ago. Issued, and it was in the bed of my truck, or not bed of my truck, but in the cab of my truck, and those bastards stole it. You hate to see it.
Crazy stuff. Yep. Yeah. So what's next for Jeff and modern tactical shooting. What are some of the videos that you're planning to release over the next few months or whatever?
Well, I have a lot of content. Every time I have an idea, I write it down. So I'm not going to get content starved.
Sure.
I have one super. It's super exciting to me. I'm not going to totally give it away. It's SOP mod related, and it's on a item that I didn't even know existed. And I'm working with this gun company to do up a full-blown video on the history of this thing. I find it super interesting. Anything SOP mod related, gets me all jazzed up. So I've got that I'm working on. I've got a pretty interesting AR-15 lower. And I made a video where I talked about the golden age of AR-15s. It's kind of over, like there's nothing new. It's kind of all been done. Well, lo and behold, I've got this AR-15 lower that could do something that I couldn't do before. So I guess there is something, the golden age is not over when it comes to like, hey, how can we change up the AR-15 more? So I got a lot of stuff to cover to come up. So I don't want to totally, steal my own thunder. But yeah, I have a bunch of projects on the way.
One of the, I shouldn't say one of, but several of the videos that I really, really enjoyed is like the history of AR-15 magazines that you did. Yep. And just listening to, obviously starting off with the steel mags with the black follower, then the green follower, then the anti-tilt, and some of the different types of magazines that you used while you were on the teams was extremely interesting. Could you help, for those people who may not have seen it, kind of not necessarily dive into the entire video, but some of the takeaways that you found from those types of like magazines, something that people just kind of forget about or don't even think about, really?
Yeah, I mean, because magazines over the last 20 years have basically been, super reliable, any commercial brand you buy. But, I was of the era when that was not so. When we had the Black Follower magazine, the first half of my career, you'd get a bunch of mags and you'd have to, through trial and error at the range, find ones that work and then kind of put your initials on them or mark them, put them off to the side and have a good, like, basic load of working mags.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they were so beat down and unreliable. And then, of course, I was there for the transition through all the different mags. And the dates have kind of been lost. And I go off of memory. So usually there's a lag about a year or two. When the Army says, hey, this was released, you didn't actually see it till about a year or two actually in service. So like the first Green Follower magazine, I can't tell you when the original issue date the Army listed as, but I didn't see it really till the end of 1998. And I remember getting cases in the team room and things like that. So all the videos, all the historical videos I do it from my perspective as I saw it. So sometimes dates might be off from when the Army says, hey, this is officially issued to actually when it actually gets implemented.
And just hearing that time frame or that timeline from your perspective, I don't know what it is, but I just find that extremely interesting. One of the things that I always thought was the Green Follower magazines were they were garbage. They never worked. However, looking back, it's more of, well, it probably wasn't necessarily the magazine like design, rather it was the wore out magazine that I had been using or was given that
10 other soldiers had before you, just beating on the thing. Yeah,
exactly using it as a hammer and all of those types of things,
Yeah.
So, that's the story of the Beretta M9. Everyone thought it was a garbage gun.
Yep.
And then they got the M17s, like, oh no, we want it back. Never mind.
We want the Beretta. Please.
We're so sorry.
Please bring the M9 back.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
I remember our unit, we got the brand new, the A3s. And I remember we got them. We were taking them out of the Cosmoline wrap. We were playing with them, having a great old time. And then 2 months later, we had to go turn them all back in for the M17s. And
wow.
It's been sad ever since.
Wow.
I've broken 3, so
really?
Yeah.
You broke 3 Berettas?
No, 3 M17s.
Oh, say it ain't so.
Yeah. None have fired uncommanded discharge yet, but
yet.
It's bound to happen, but
exactly. And make sure you buy a lottery ticket that day.
probably.
So one of the questions that I would be very interested to hear your take on, based off of all of the different things that you've been able to do, not only in the teams, but just your military career and then YouTube and everything else, is kind of dissecting what the Army is doing right now when it comes to the M17, the M7, the M250, and all of these new surprisingly SIG replacement firearms.
A lot of SIG.
A lot of SIGs. Yeah. I mean, excusing or just kind of setting the fact that SIG is winning a lot of contracts right now. Do you feel that from a weapons standpoint, is the Army going the right direction?
The M250, yeah, it looks decent. No complaints there. The M249 saw that thing is long past overdue being replaced. So
I agree. I would
welcome
agree.
change there. Yeah.
Mhm.
And the automatic rifleman role, it was created by, we're going to combine the BAR and the M1 and all this other weirdo stuff. And it's never sat right anyways. Now with the M7, if anybody knows me, they know I'm hugely against it due to the weight of the gun, the increased recoil, the lack of ammunition, and that gun is shooting around. That's just going to eat those guns up. There's no way those guns are going to last anywhere near as long as like an M4. And if they do see combat and they are going to get that high pressure armor piercing round, how sturdy these guns going to be. So I think it's completely the wrong direction with that rifle. We're going back to Vietnam days with the M14.
Yes. That has been my perspective ever since they announced it.
And we're going away from a NATO standard round, so that's even going to be worse.
Yeah, I've never really cared about the whole NATO standard thing. I think it's overblown, because if you look at other countries' 5.56, it's completely different. Like the Brits rounds versus what France is using. And you like imagine if we put M855A1 in a FAMAS, that thing would probably blow up after 100 rounds. So I've never.
Let's be honest with you. It wouldn't get to 100 rounds because that's why they have the surrender sticks on it.
Yeah. But so that doesn't concern me. What concerns me is the reality of gunfights. And you shoot a lot of ammo for suppressive fire, so you can then maneuver to then kill them with accurate fire or kill them with overwhelming fire. But that suppressive fire element is being ignored. And I talked to a buddy in the 82nd a month ago, and he was literally told, you're going to gain fire superiority through accuracy now, not volume. And firefights don't work that way at all.
They never have.
You have to bring either more guns to the fight or bigger guns, meaning belt feds and mortars and things like that, to win a gunfight. So I regardless what they say, that rifle was built for Afghanistan in a theater of war that's long past now.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know. I'd say we're going to go back to the
never say never.
Never say never.
Well, the big, I would say the Army is really, really good at preparing for the war they just fought, moving forward into the future.
Well, it seems kind of the opposite. To me, it seems like, looking at the way units are training, they're dumping actually everything from GWAT and they're going to pre-GWAT because they're calling it, hey, we need to get back to doctrine. So they're going back to 1990s stuff. They're dumping all the lessons learned. Yes, we don't need to be focusing on low intensity conflicts and fighting insurgencies, but a gunfight is a gunfight. So once the fight starts, small unit tactics, the stuff we were doing drastically changed from what we thought it would look like. So we have all these lessons learned from GWAT, and we're actually dumping all those, and we're going back to all this drivel doctrine. So great, you're going back to theory built from the 90s of what war might look like, and they're back to that. So I don't think that's the right way to go either.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. My perspective something that really left a sour taste in my mouth was when I was going through BNOC back in the day when they used to call it that. As we would say, beer knock. At that time, this would have been 2005. So we're already, what, 4 years into Afghanistan, at least 2 years into.
And we're at the height of fighting in Iraq. 05,
Correct.
04, 04 built up, 05, 06 off the hook, and then we pulled out end of 07.
Right. And so at that time, while I'm going through, and I was a 19 kilo going through, BNOC at Fort Knox, they were still training the Russian horde coming over the Fulda Gap in Eastern Europe. And I'm like, and I raised my hand and I was like, why are we concentrating on fighting the Russians in Europe when we are currently in a fight right now with asymmetrical warfare, with insurgency, coin, the whole, what was the name of the book? Eating soup with a knife, all of that type of stuff was like in our face 24/7. And this is what we're trying to learn right now. And I'm like, it left such a bitter taste in my mouth that when I left, at that time, I was fortunate enough to have a pretty cush job driving a 2-star general. And it came to a point where we were having a discussion where he was like, hey, we need to get you back down to a line unit, or, maybe get you off to drill sergeant school or something like that. What would you like to do? And I said, sir, I'm getting out. I don't want to be a part of a military that is trying to fight the Russians in Europe. We're already in Iraq and Afghanistan trying to do things there. It makes no sense to me. We had a long heart-to-heart, and my path was encouraged to change. So, but that's kind of how I've always seen it. And I didn't know if your perspective changed at all from what you've seen.
Well, in SF, we were pretty theater focused. So that was a good thing about being in SF. We did focus on the current fight.
Mm-hmm.
So, but as towards the tail end of my career, I did see a lot of the stuff creep back in, like all this old drivel, because a lot of guys were getting out that had all the lessons learned. And then new guys coming in, they're like, oh, let's get back to the basics. And then again, we start this wheel over again at the beginning of the wheel. Let's do all these things that we know don't work in combat, but hey, that's the basics. That's what's in the manuals. Let's get back to it. So that's creeped into SOF also. I talked to a lot of guys in SF, and I know a lot of units and teams are forward thinking, and they're like, okay, we need to get back to a self-supporting SF team, because we're spoiled of Afghanistan and Iraq living on FOBs. Everything was supported for us. Getting back to, okay, here's a bucket of money, drop a team into a country and live on your own, move out, good luck. So there's units that recognize, hey, we need to get that capability back. Everything's not going to be set up for us.
And is that a perspective that you had to deal with at all in your time with the teams?
Yes. The initial years in Afghanistan and Iraq, it was, they're going to send you to an AO. The AO is yours. Sustain yourself in that AO. And whatever level of peace or insurgency that area was at, your job was to take it to the next level. So if the insurgency was nothing, then hey, bring in civil affairs, make things nice and happy. Or if you got an insurgency going on, well, guess what? You're doing combat operations to crush that down. And that was your job. Hey, whatever level AO you're at, get it to the next step, hopefully.
That's a piece of it that I don't think that I've ever considered is, I've seen, and by no means, I don't want you to roll your eyes at this, but I've obviously seen the movie 12 Strong, which
actually, I know the warrant from that movie really well. We partied so hard before, but I didn't do the initial invasion of Afghanistan, but
Right.
yeah, that movie, you don't hear SF guys talking about it a whole lot for a reason, because it's kind of hokey.
Well, sure, absolutely. And I've had an opportunity to meet the ODA commander. He is now like
Makes whiskey.
Horse soldier whiskey. Mark is I don't know how to exactly take him. I just obviously surface level know him, but his perspective of things was fairly interesting, and some of the conversations that I've had with him, and he came to a town just kind of adjacent to us. He's a Kansas guy, so that was kind of cool. But he gave a rundown of his experience in Afghanistan, and we did that while we were doing a taste test of his whiskeys, which I thought was really, really interesting. But I bring up 12 Strong not because of necessarily Mark, but the idea of these guys were just kind of plopped into Afghanistan, and it's like, okay, here's where you're supposed to meet some guys. Thumbs up, good luck. Don't die,
That's 100% true for that era. Yep.
Yeah, and that wasn't a piece of the special forces that I've ever been really exposed to. I was raised on like Ghost Recon and those types of games, and it never depicted anything like that. So it was kind of a bit of a, I guess, I don't want to say culture shock, but yeah, it's just.
But again, we were pretty well prepared for that, because back then that's all you did. We did it's called JSETs. I forget the acronym full blown, but hey, literally you would have to, an SF team, like I'll give an example. Hey, you're going to go to Jordan to train a battalion of Jordan military and how to do mounted reconnaissance. They'd give you that mission statement, and then they'd say, all right, here's $500,000. Get yourself there. House, food, provide all equipment, whatever you need to make that mission happy, and get yourself back, and don't run out of money. And that's regularly how we did business.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So I'll give you an example. I was, as the 18 Bravo, I was in charge of fuel as one of my side jobs. And you were set up. I had a credit card I could use for that. Me buying $30,000 worth of fuel for a 3-month deployment was nothing. That's how we did it. So because of Afghanistan, where you're living on FOBs, everything was provided for you. SF lost that ability, and they took away the tools for that capability. If SF, you said, hey, give this 23-year-old E5 a credit card where he can have a $60,000 limit to buy supplies or do whatever, they'd probably be like, no, we don't do that anymore. We'll got to send somebody from higher up to set all that up.
Oh,
teams used to do that
for the government travel card.
Yeah, they did. They took away that, and you have a government travel card only for personal expenses. So how are you going to do all this other stuff? They're taking away the tools from the teams, and I don't want to bag on SF guys. They just don't know what they don't know. They don't know how it used to be. They don't know how. So for them to, like, if we had to replicate Afghanistan again, I don't know if they're set up to even be able to do it now, because they've morphed into doing more and more regular Army type things and regular Army ways of thinking, which is kind of a shame.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to drop the news. I saw just this morning that the IRGC captured 45 Delta operators in Tehran and showed photos of these Delta operators.
Is that legit? Really?
No, it was totally AI, but it was
horrible Photoshop AI.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the IRGC for losing a war have been doing a great job with the AI campaign. I mean, they're really trying hard. Like, you just got to give it to them.
Is it like when India landed on the moon?
Yeah, it's very similar. It was a photo of a bunch of like dudes in ACUs.
I gotta look this up.
With the patrol caps on, like no kit on whatsoever, all clean shaven, nice looking, guys from GWAT of 2006, and they're like, look at all these Delta operators who we have officially captured. Like, That's not Delta, guys. That's and it's totally AI too. I mean, but yep, that one.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is absolutely ridiculous. And naturally, all of these Delta guys look exactly the same.
Mhm.
That's hilarious. And of course, these Delta guys are wearing multicam.
Yeah.
Are their boots bloused?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, there it is.
With
You know it's
PCs.
fake then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Clean shaven, bald heads. You know, my favorite is the I saw one earlier where it was Iran the IRGC was claiming that it shot down a B2 like a B2 bomber, and it was definitely someone like recorded it on War Thunder on like low graphic setting because the B2 bomber just kind of like pixelated and fell apart. It was like no explosion, no fireball, just literally this missile hit it and then it just like broke apart and fell down. So anyways, AI has been great. 5th generation of warfare, guys. Look it up, study it, understand it, and realize that we have already lost it. Thanks.
I tell you, S2 Underground has a really good quote unquote YouTube video about 5th generation warfare.
Yeah, I use it actually to train all our guys on it. The only problem is he gets it's very preachy when it comes to politics. So it's really hard to do, to use it as a training thing. Like, okay, this guy has a lot of strong opinions about politics, but what he's talking about 5th generation warfare is very, very good. So just he's going to say some things that's going to maybe hurt some people's feelings in this room. Just accept it.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on 5th generation warfare, Jeff?
That's out of my realm. I'm a simpler guy. I'm at the boots on the ground level.
Yeah, no psyops for you.
Nope.
We work like that's kind of our wheelhouse right now when it comes to like civil affairs and psyop right now. So, and it's been very interesting to watch. We do a lot in the European theater. Like Ukraine was a great example of. I'm talking about Ukraine like back in 2014. When Crimea was taken over, to what's going on now, and now like the Iran war has been it's also been like a good lessons learned on, hey, this is what the psyop and the AIs are capable of now, just at a very low budget. Below budget level. Russia and Ukraine did it so much better.
So from your perspective of what you've been able to see, especially from we don't even have to go into Iran, but with like Ukraine, what are some of the biggest takeaways that you've seen from that conflict that, I don't know, interests you or maybe terrifies you or anything?
And why is it drones?
Well, I mean, we're at the point where the modern airplane made the battleship obsolete, and the drone is making the rifleman obsolete. I mean, it is.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a very good point.
There was an article, I don't know if it how many people have seen it yet. There's a mission. There's like I'm using air quotes, fake mission called Operation Hedgehog that happens in Europe most years, and it's a big NATO exercise. And one of the biggest they invited 100 Ukrainian drone operators to come participate in the exercise, and those 100 drone operators killed I think it's like 6 NATO battalions.
I totally believe it.
Yeah, like just totally wrecked house. This is 100 dudes with off the shelf stuff. And this is a mock training scenario, obviously, but completely decimated battalions of soldiers. And for those who don't know, that's like 6,000 or 7,000, depending on what kind of. Now a NATO battalion, I don't know how much, but in the U.S. Army terms, it's like 6,000 or 7,000 soldiers. So, like, think of like how effective thousands of drone operators are. An entire military strategy focused on the use of drones rather than just as a ISR platform.
Yep,
that's crazy.
Now the nice thing about drones, I guess, I don't think it has totally make the rifleman obsolete, because while it has made it a more difficult time for like the rifleman to do his job, you're still going to have guys all on the ground doing stuff, because drones albeit are very, very capable. They're just not at the point where, if you need a very surgical, not say surgical strike, but you need a very delicate task completed. Like if you need like a snatch and grab or anything like that, a drone can't do that. They can just delete. That's all they do.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at the core mission, at least taking and holding ground, they're going to take a big piece of the pie of that capability. Taking and holding ground. I mean, that's it.
I would say it's even not. It's not even holding. It's just denying or the threat of denial. Like if you look at the Strait of Hormuz right now, like they're not sending ships on, not because there's a naval fleet there. There's just a chance that maybe your boat will get hit by a drone, and that's enough to stop them from even going there. Like it's not even, again, it's not like I really like stressing this point out. I was talking a lot about it this weekend. Is it's not even that there's a physical like drone carrier ship or a launcher pointed at the Strait of Hormuz, and so at any point if you try to pass it, you're gonna get shot. It may happen and may not happen, but that may happen outweighs the may not, and I won't do it. And that's all thanks to like a $30,000 drone that you launch at the back of your pickup truck.
Yeah. And the interesting thing too is what that then does is for these commercial carriers that are moving oil or whatever the case may be, their insurance companies no longer will want to insure that boat because there may be a possibility of a drone attack and a multi-million-dollar vessel going down.
Multi-hundreds of $millions.
Well,
like those things are expensive.
Yeah,
super tankers.
Not only the vessel itself, but also the cargo that's on there as well. So that's the piece that a lot of people don't really understand. And unfortunately, I think that we're going to really start feeling the brunt of that here over the next month. I'm
so mad. I went on Kalshi and bet that that gas was going to race to like 350.10 by the end of this week. It was like 350.09, and I lost $25. I'm so mad about that. trying to make a little bit of money on this war, and it's not working out for me.
I think you're investing in the wrong piece of it.
Yeah.
I will say probably by the end of the month, a barrel of gas will probably be $100, $120.
They're already it was 115 by then today, closing that market. U.S. side, it was like 100. It got up to like 110 and went back down to I think 101. But the European market was like 115.
That's crazy. That's so crazy.
So guns, yeah. Sorry, we're on a tirade about crude oil prices and how insurance companies are effectively ruining our economy again. So how'd you get into watches, Jeff? Like how did that exactly. little bit happen?
Oh, it's I was actually watching YouTube videos just to figure out how to start my channel.
Yeah.
And watch YouTubers have the best lighting, sound, they have high quality production. So I was watching watch videos just to get YouTube ideas.
Yeah.
And that led me into like, hey, I want to try out one of these mechanical watches. And I started small. I spent $7,000 on my first watch.
Only
7,000 rubles. I bought a Vostok for $110.
Yep. Those. Yeah. I've been looking at a Vostok for some time. I was looking at it pre-Ukraine conflict,
and
then when I think they were used to be like $45-$50, and you can go on Amazon 2-day ship and get it sent to your house, like a Vostok Amphibia.
Yep.
And then now the conflict has occurred, and now they're like $152. And it's you even order on Amazon. It's like could get here tomorrow, could get here like 6 weeks from now.
And when I got mine, it came from Russia with like 10,000 weirdo stamps and all this stuff all over the package.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like we're deep into COVID at the time. So
okay. What is it? Was it an Amphibia?
Yep, it's an Amphibia. It's the scuba dude. It's got the little guy on the front. Yep.
I want they have like a GRU one that is like this has caught my eye for some reason. It just looks like a cool watch. Like a GRU edition.
Yeah. No, so, I'm a minor watch dude. I mean, I can't, like last year, my wife's like, hey, just get a Rolex. And we had the money. But to me, $10,000, that's a lot of money. To some people, it's not. and I couldn't do it. I couldn't spend that much money on myself. So my threshold is I'm at Tudor. I like Tudors. I like Seikos. That's where I play.
Yeah. The same thing kind of happened with me too. We also, when I was in Eastern Europe, I was talking with some agencies where they were just talking about how terrible, like I was wearing an Apple Watch at the time, and the guy was like showing me how much he could track me just with just a little device.
Yep.
The way those watches work, Samsung, and granted, this is back in 2020, so I don't know what kind of security systems these watches have now. You say that with air quotes, but the GPS on those are so easy to hack into, or just at least get an idea of where people have been.
Yep.
So I immediately went down to we were in Bulgaria at the time. I went down to their shopping district, and I was looking at a $2,000 Rolex, and luckily the same guy that was having a conversation about Apple watches was a big watch guy. He's like, all these are fake, man. Do not buy a single watch here. This is not a Rolex. It was a Rolex, I'm using air quotes, Rolex dealership, but all the watches inside are fake. But
so the Rolex that I bought in Iraq in 2003 was fake
for about $50. No, but you directly supported terrorism again. I mean, we I'd say if you want to get really into the roots, with how the U.S. funded the Taliban before it was Taliban. I'm blanking on the name now. What they used to be called.
The Mujahideen.
The Mujahideen.
Yeah.
And then so your taxpayers went twice to pay for the Taliban and a $50 Rolex watch and tax money. But so it's funny you were saying that you watch some watch YouTube channels and all.
Yeah, for the production value. Yeah.
I immediately went to when Nut and Fancy does his reviews of Citizen watches. I remember as a younger guy, anytime it was he would have videos of knives and guns that were kind of interesting, but then he started having watches every so often. And I remember boring, and I click off. And now I go back and watch this. I'm like, that Citizen looks really, really nice. I think it's an old man thing. I think watches are just an old man thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's all I went into the Tudor dealer in Charlotte, and there was 5 of us 50-year-old dudes standing around, and I was like, "Yep, it's my demographic, my people.
This is my people now."
So, are pocket watches a thing?
No, that you're crossing into becoming steampunk on us. Don't do that.
Well, or if you're, I think they have a time and place. I have a couple pocket watches. Now, granted, they were family heirloom pocket watches,
right?
I remember as a wee child, I thought pocket watches were cool, and then I got bullied. But
so I have one that was my great grandfather's.
Yeah, that's something different, man. If you go out actively searching for a pocket watch, I think unless you're wearing a double-breasted vest and carry a 1871 Colt, I don't think you should be wearing a pocket watch.
It'd probably be a 1903 Browning.
No, I think by the early 1900s, everyone's kind of got the idea of wearing it on my wrist.
Okay, I don't know.
I think that was kind of about that time. I think pocket watches were definitely 1800s staple.
Yep. World War I changed the game. Pocket watches out.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. Is you just bring up World War I, and my ADHD just goes on, and it's a little tism here. But one of the things that I've noticed on Instagram is I've started getting fed a whole bunch of different useless knowledge facts about World War I and all of the different things that a lot of people, I guess, kind of take for granted, but at the same time don't even really realize. Unfortunately, over the last year, I've become a cat guy, I guess. We've adopted 2 cats in the last year, and now all of a sudden my Instagram feed is just firearms and cats. But one of the interesting things was that in World War I, cats were actually taken to the front line and were initially used to kind of keep the rodent population down.
Smart.
In the trenches, but then ended up being so much more than just rodent or pest removal. They were helping soldiers cope with all the stuff that they had to deal with on the front lines and the trenches. They were keeping watch of the Huns coming over the no man's lands and stuff like that. They were early warning systems, all the while taking care of the rodent population as well. I thought it was really kind of interesting. And then, as you guys said, how World War I kind of broke us away from a pocket watch to a wristwatch as well. I thought that was pretty interesting.
And now here we are back making trenches.
I know,
making
right?
Trenches.
Oh my
with,
gosh.
Yeah, with mad rabies going on, so they need to bring the cats back.
Yep. We're putting EOTechs on Maxim rifles, like nature's healing.
Yep.
Is there issues with rabies in trenches and stuff like that?
Yeah, there was an article on it and some videos they're showing, soldiers with rabies. Looks pretty horrible.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because you really don't think of that type of stuff, especially, I mean, obviously in the United States, we think about that type of stuff because, someone gets bit by a raccoon or a possum and they're like, oh my God, does it have rabies or something like that. But when I was in Afghanistan, we actually had a soldier die because of rabies, and it was a big thing.
Yeah.
That soldier had found a puppy that, unbeknownst to him, had rabies, and he kept that puppy, which was against General Order Number 1. Obviously can't have pets, but he did it on the DL, and his buddies didn't say anything. Well, that puppy ended up biting him, contracted rabies, didn't know it, got sick.
Yeah.
And before he realized that he was too
past
far
the
gone.
point.
Oh yeah. So that's something that we're like, everybody was like, first off, when we were there, they were like, okay, are you that stupid that you are going to keep a puppy? I mean, how are you going to keep that, hidden from your chain of command? That's, the stupid thing, number one. And then number two was like, how did he not know that the dog had rabies? And I guess it's kind of difficult to tell sometimes. So to see that in the trenches of Ukraine now is pretty crazy, which makes sense. And I'm just waiting for the stats to come back of how many people have been wounded because of like trench foot or, all of these other types of illnesses that people in World War I ended up with because of, not only trench foot, but cholera, that's
all that stuff.
Dysentery.
Cholera, rabies, dysentery. Yeah. It'll be really interesting, 10 years from now, looking back and, seeing the breakdown.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Jeff, I know that you are, I think you're a little bit ahead of us in time zone, and I don't want to keep you too much.
All right.
But we do always try to offer the last little bit to our guests to, bestow some folksy wisdom on us, and or just whatever that you want to throw out into the ether. So we'll give you, the last quote unquote 30 seconds.
Well, one project I was thinking of doing, and it's based on comments, and I might do a whole video on it. So if you guys like the idea, let me know. Is the comments come up, especially with that Bren video. If it's not broken, don't fix it. With regards to the M4,
Mm-hmm.
The problem is the M4 that we started GWAT with and came out in 1995. That even the regular Army M4, we're not talking URGI and all the soft mod stuff, is a completely different rifle from back then. It's actually not the same.
Right.
And I thought about doing basically a historical video of all the changes to the standard M4 from when it was introduced to what it looks like now.
Absolutely. That would be really good, because I know that you see a lot of people will post like, oh, this is my block 1 build or my block 2 or my block O or whatever the case may be. And I have a hard time keeping that stuff straight to begin with.
It was pretty funny, actually. When we were at SHOT Show, we talked to the, I can't remember his name, but the guy from PRI about the Mark 12s and like the Mod H's and the Mod 1s. And first of all, that guy was probably so sick of talking about
about
clones,
the
about clone rifles, because I think we first started talking to him. We're like, hey, we've always been interested in Mark 12s. He's like, I think his first thing he's like, are you guys clone nerds? Or like, no, we're just like the rifle. It's a good rifle. And then he kind of opened up to us, but he seemed so tired of talking to anybody who was just like want to talk clone correct. But
yeah, because the M4, people are like, oh, the M4, it's not broken, don't fix it. They kind of view it like with the AK. Like, yeah, the AK is fine, don't add to it. The only people running an AK-47 are insurgents. Russia's moved on, with the AKM, the AK-74 to the 103. So it's like, what period are you talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's something I might do. So if there's demand, I will do it.
Well, I'm nobody in the sphere, but I would be first in line to watch that video for sure. Because, Jefe and I we butt heads all the time because it seems like every new Jack Carr novel that comes out, his personality changes. Don't
just talk about. Don't know what you're talking about at all.
But now I just picked up a Bushmaster off of a LEO trade-in sale on AIM Surplus, and it's a A1 carry handle, kind of a C7 style upper, and I've never really messed with A1 sights and that sighting system at all, so it's all new to me. And
you're making me feel old,
dude. I absolutely love that sighting system now. I was an A2 guy. That was the M16A2 was the first like semi-automatic quote unquote assault rifle that I've ever shot before, and this dropped in my hands, and it's got a story to tell on top of just being so much fun to shoot. I
mean, our police department was using A2s until like 2020.
Really?
Yeah. Actually, A1s. We were using A1s.
Oh, really?
Sorry, we had A1s.
So, needless to say, I'm kind of at that point in my life where I'm starting to be very nostalgic to, A1 carry handles, A2 carry handles. You got a lot of the guys that are cloning like the Colt 733s and the quote unquote Gordies or the Blood Diamond rifles or something like that. So to see the evolution and for you to do a video like that I think would be extremely interesting myself. So
I used to tape and hose clamp a D-cell maglite to now you have.
Oh, thank God for the soft mod program.
So needless to say, that is that's my vote is you need to do it. So that would be cool.
All right.
So F.A., what do you got? You got anything?
Yeah. So I think if you're going to ask for an opportunity to be a better husband, better father, better friend, and then you give him the opportunity, it's really fucking hard. Don't complain about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Sorry. A little philosophical rant right there. But
yeah, for sure.
If you're looking for opportunities, don't complain when it's actually hard.
Yeah, that is a very valid point. Dude, I feel all of that right now. I know that you've been going through a lot with illnesses and everything with your family, and unfortunately, my dad just got put into a care home because of dementia and some stuff that happened over the course of February. And you're absolutely right, man. Freaking one of these days, here's my little spit, is one of these days your family is going to look to you to carry the load. And that's exactly what I've gone through over the last month. And I have been so afraid of making the wrong decision, but ultimately the family was just looking at me to make a decision. And turns out sometimes just making a decision is the right decision, So
I think that's a soft truth. Don't let the enemy, or don't let perfect be the enemy of good enough.
Yeah.
It's not a soft truth, but it's.
Well, Jeff, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. We really do appreciate your time.
And
Excellent.
where can people find you? So you can, I know we're going to put it in
Absolutely.
the comments and everything, but where can people find you?
Yes.
Modern Tactical Shooting on YouTube, on Facebook, and modern_tactical on Instagram. Yeah, I'm out there. I'm out on social media. I try and be everywhere.
Absolutely. So again, we'll have all of that information in the description of this podcast. So please swing by, check him out, subscribe to his YouTube channel, give him a follow on Facebook and Instagram. I personally feel that you present not only a very well organized video, regardless of what you're talking about, but also in a very cool storytelling way that keeps at least me interested. So, but needless to say, we want to obviously extend a invitation to you to come back on the show anytime. If you've got some more things that you want to discuss, you want to dive deep into, if we want to get into the Kurds once again and just deep dive on that, we can do that as well. But
I have so many stories of working with the Kurds, just crazy stuff.
Oh man, I'm here for it. So again, like I said, I'm kind of hitting that nostalgia phase of my life. But needless to say, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you so very much. If you've made it this far in the podcast, you guys are awesome, and we will catch you on the next episode. But don't forget to live, laugh, and LARP. Bye, y'all.